next speaker, Luca Hocevar, owner of Vigor Fit in Washington. Dominates in the fitness space. Somebody who's inspired me with his ability to do two things constantly. One, stay fit as fuck, like bigger than I've seen him like in a long time, and fit as fuck. If anybody, how many of you ever seen some of Luca's fitness videos online? It's like 375 ways to do shit that you cannot, is what the video should be called. That's what I do when my daughter, she's like, who is that? I was like, that's He-Man. That literally is He-Man. He's the Hulk. So Luca has not only performed over and over and over again in the game of fitness, but he's a fucking scientist in how he looks at it. And we've sent a ton of men to work with Luca specifically over the years on nutrition and fitness because of his expertise inside of that and his passion. So he's not only somebody who talks about the body, he's somebody who's deep into the fitness space. When he came into Warrior Week 16, he came in as a three-pack. It was him and Coach Steve Krebs and a guy named Paul Mort, who's with us here for a couple of years. And Luca and I got to have an opportunity back in the day to connect like personally. Like he was literally one-on-one with me in the office and was interviewed back in the old HQ. And then Luca from that time has gone through 10 different challenges. Like he's run with us from the very, very beginning. Been part of our Empire groups in 2015 and 16. Last year, joined up and became part of Founders. And I reached out to Luca because how busy he's been with his events and everything he does inside the fitness space and asked him to come be with us because I wanted you to have a scientist, somebody who understands this shit and has a deep passion for it. So, your third trainer inside the body category is the man that can do about 932 things physically that you cannot, Mr. Luca Hocevar.
All right, check. So first of all, Garrett, one of the things that's said on the kind of instructions for what we're doing said, be yourself. So I was myself and crammed an hour-and-a-half presentation into 15 minutes. Hopefully your thing is fucking broken because I'm going to try to go over. So look, I really want to cover some of this stuff because it is important. We're going to go over strategy, tactics, like some science because, I like looking at stuff from the outside in, but sometimes you leave and you're like, all right, great. I'm gonna do the work. I got this. And then you fail and you feel like it's your fault, right? So that's why, the presentation is why fitness and nutrition has failed us and what to do about it. And slow cross out strategic is smooth and smooth is fast. So in martial arts, you have that saying, right? Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I'd have you consider that you actually want to slow down when it comes to some of your, I would say, methods or tactics when it comes to changing your nutrition and changing your fitness. Now, some of the slides I'm going to flip through faster and not go to them because we're short on time. But I'm going to split this up into two different parts. One is going to be, and hopefully I can get through both, but the first one is nutrition. Okay, so look, this is what most people do. And I've been in Warrior for a long time and have consulted in some way or another, a lot of people and seen the patterns of what happens. But let's look at what happens on a diet, right? When we restrict energy intake. You have low energy intake and reduces metabolic activity. So body tries to restore the energy balance, and then what happens? Increased appetite. Has anybody gone on a diet and then felt hungry and pissed off? Absolutely. Yeah. Everybody who doesn't put their hands up has a shoulder issue. We'll talk about that later. So the thing is, the dieter falls off the wagon, right? So he fall off the wagon or simply stops dieting and then basically increases food intake again. So like if we're looking at this stuff like the 8-week challenge, the 12-week challenge, you go on you go on paleo, you go on keto, you go on whatever, right? Do you live that for the rest of your life, or is that a period of time that you go on? Most of the time, it's the latter, right? So what happens is that despite more energy coming in, your metabolism drops down, right? Because when you diet, your brain is going like, oh shit, survival. So your metabolism slows down, right? So even though now you're starting to eat that food back to normal, you put on weight. And the cycle continues, right? This is a very normal picture. And the thing is, I'm here to go like, look, you can't cheat science, right? Sometimes people are like, well, no, Luca, but I did this and that. And I'm like, look, gravity. Whoop, right? It exists. Science, motherfuckers, you can't cheat it. So, like, it's going to happen. And so I'm here to kind of go like, look, these are some things that you can do to succeed. All right? So advanced strategies are exactly that, right? You're shooting yourself in the face a lot of times. Because some of you may leave here pumped up and go like, that's it. Every fucking day I'm doing this. I'm going low carb. I'm doing this, that, and the other. But the thing is, how many times have you done that and failed? Right? So I'm gonna talk about a little bit of a different approach and actually give you methods, right, that you can use. So first of all, this is my Uncle Igor. That's actually not. But he's a jacked guy, and that dude actually is 62 years old, by the way. Right? He's a 62-year-old guy. So what do the fittest, healthiest, and leanest people do? Right? And it's not what you think. Right? It's not complex. It's not like carb rotation strategies and all this stuff. So, you know, if put it this way, it's not just about how he looks, right? But it's about being fit, being healthy, being able to do shit. Okay, so longevity as well that comes along with that. So when we look at that, right, I'm going to show you, like, first of all, that to be successful in anything, you have to build skill sets, right? If you do marketing, you got to build the skill set of marketing. With nutrition, you have to build skill sets. So here are our skill sets for success. This is through Vigor Ground Fitness and Performance. This is what we teach, right? We teach these skill sets to people that want to succeed with their nutrition long term, right? Making time. And people will be like, what the fuck does making time have to do with nutrition? And because I've coached some of you here, and one of the first things was like, hey, read this lesson, right? A week later, man, Luca, this is going too slow. Did you read the lesson? No, fuck, you can't even do that. How are you going to do something else, right? Making time, organizing your time, very important. It's a skill set. Eating slowly, stopping at 80% full. I'll have you consider that if you did that, if you stopped eating at 80% full, every single person here would be leaner by the end of the year, if that was a skill set that you trained, okay? Eating lean protein with each meal. I'll show you some cool studies later on, how like that one skill set, if you did it for the rest of the year, you would put on more muscle and be leaner, right? And show you, like, I'll show you some kind of strategies of how you can do that. Eating at least 5 servings of veggies every day, making smart carb choices, healthy, eating healthy fats, vigor-friendly meals, which just means it's a certain type of way that you look at the plate, recording what you eat, tracking, creating and using a sleep ritual, drinking only calorie-free beverages, targeted recovery strategies. Tommy talked a little bit about that. Eat whole foods only, a little more, a little better. So a little more, a little better. Most people try to jump the gun too much. We just look at, like, how can you make it a little bit better? A little bit better. Right, 1% better every day, 365 days a year, you get the kind of the idea, right? You get a lot better. And changing your environment, which is a huge one. So there's a quote that I like to say, environments trigger behaviors, right? So you change your environment, you trigger the behaviors that happen. So cool study here, right? This is why this is so, this is 2 different groups. Okay, one group, they told them, you're going to just eat whatever you want. Whatever you've been doing. Whatever you've been eating, that's what you're going to keep doing. The other group, the exact same thing. Eat whatever you want, except every meal, you have to eat 30 to 40 grams of protein in 4 meals a day. So they gave them one thing only, okay? Look what happened. The group that ate protein could do anything else they wanted to, okay? Ate 441 calories less per day, right? Why? Why? Because protein is a food that has a lot of satiety attached to it, and it's a thermogenic food, so meaning you burn more calories eating protein and digesting it than you do carbs and fat. So this is why I'm bringing this up, because in your mind you might be like, I'm going to do this, and that, and it's too much. But what if you just did this and ate 441 calories less per day? First month, you're dropping weight. Actually, in these study groups, group 2 lost 13 pounds more in 12 weeks than other group, just making that one change. Huge difference, right? So I want you to approach this and not think, hey, I'm moving slowly. No, you're moving strategically. Right? Small hinges swing big doors. Remember that. Small hinges swing big doors. And I want you to think about that, right? It's the whole energy thing, right? If I tell you to change 12 things at once, you have a lot of energy going in different directions. But if I go like, you know what? For the next 3 weeks, all I want you to do is add 2 basically palms of protein to every single meal that you eat. And all of a sudden, your energy goes into one direction. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to move further forward. So I'd have you consider starting that approach with your nutrition versus the approach where it's just all over the place, okay? Now, this is I'm going to just take one example of this, but this is how we approach these things, right? If you're struggling with it, you can see eating too many processed food, not enough nutritious, minimally processed foods, you need help with replacing foods with whole minimally processed foods. So what would be a sample habit? Sample habit would just be take something that's processed and replace it with unprocessed stuff. Like, it could be as simple as right now, you drink orange juice. Now you're going to eat 2 oranges. Guess what's going to happen? Calories are going to drop down, right? If you're drinking too many sugary sweetened drinks, hey, go from Coke to Diet Coke, and then you're going to go to a tonic or something else. See how there are small changes? All right, we've had like just one guy that we told him, okay, look, you're going to drop from Coke to Diet Coke. First month, 16 pounds drop. He was like, that's it? That's so easy. I'm like, fuck it, it's so easy. You're going to be able to do it, right? So I would say this, we actually have an approach. When you tell me it's so easy, I'm like, fantastic. We should have no problem with you doing this for 2 weeks, right? And they're like, yeah, okay, cool. And then they get fucking results, right? But what do you want to do? Oh, that's so easy, Luca. Why would I do it? Well, why are you not doing it if it's so easy? See what I'm saying? So very, very important. So we break these down, and obviously, and you guys can get these slides so you can see some of the approaches. But look, everything in life, this is actually a strategy that you can use in business, in marketing, in any area of your life. Okay, at the top you have an outcome. So that's your goal. What do you want to achieve? That outcome has specific skill sets attached to it. I just showed you the ones for nutrition. If you want to look like my uncle Igor at the beginning, right? I showed you a bunch of different skill sets that you build to be able to, for the long term, to be able to be lean, strong, powerful, move well, right? Be healthy and fit, okay? And that goes for anything. Now, so if you have an outcome, then you say, okay, this month I'm going to do this. I'm going to break it down into a week. This is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to break it down to a daily practice. Now, this is what this looks like, okay? Your goal. Month 1, what is the skill set that I'm going to develop? Month 2, what's going to be the skill set that I develop? And then you can see the different practices associated with it. You can do this for anything in life, okay? But I'd have you consider that something like, hey, drink a glass of water or 500 milliliters of water before every meal is a great habit, because if you drink water before every meal, you're not going to be as hungry, you're going to eat less food, you're going to lose weight. And it's going to hydrate you, so there's a lot of different benefits to it. You don't have to jump the gun and go to like the most complex thing that you think is working, and then you're going to have success. So we use this chart for a behavior map. So I'll give you an example. So what do I want to do, right? And what does it involve? Why does it matter? How will I know if I've done it, right? That's important. How will I know if I've actually done this behavior? And then when do I move on? Because remember, we want to develop a skill set, and then we want to build on that and move on. But once again, this is a skill set. So maybe it takes 3 weeks, maybe it takes 4. I'm not sure. For everybody, it's different. Example, I want to build muscle. What's the first behavior? Well, I got to work out regularly. Okay? What does that involve? Working out 3 times a week on a specific plan. Why does it matter? Because workouts stimulate muscle growth, right? How will I know that I've done it? I've completed my workout journal for the day, or maybe I've seen a coach that I paid 3 times a week. Great. Okay, when is it time to move on? I've done 3 workouts per week consistently for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Cool. Let's add the next behavior, which is add 1 nutrient-rich, high-quality meal, which might be a power shake or a protein shake or something else. Notice how this works? But if you can't execute a task at least 90% effectiveness, why would you move on to the next task? Okay? So how do you decide? Well, we base it through a filter. Goals, what do you want to do? Number 2 is knowledge. What do you know? And then 3 is, what's your competence and skill? What can you do? If you can't cook, why would I give you a skill set to build that you don't know how to do? Right? So we want to go to strength. And then consistency. What can you do repeatedly and well? If you cannot do it repeatedly and well, you will not look like Uncle Igor that's jacked in the beginning, right? So remember, almost all progress comes from rediscovering your strengths. So I would say start off with where you're strong. Start off with where you're confident. Most people start off with something that's so out there and so difficult to do that it's very hard to succeed, okay? So this is my filter. You guys saw some of the different habits. I go Mortal Kombat on this, right? It's a bracket. Habit 1 battles habit 2. Which one wins? Which one is the one that you want to go with, that you feel more comfortable with? Same thing with habit 3 and 4. And then at the end, you have, this is the habit that I'm going to pick. And I'd have you consider that habit becomes part of your core 4. Right? So what if you had part of your core 4 was like, hey, it could be a smoothie for sure. But what if you've already conquered that and it's become a habit? Okay, what if the next thing is I'm going to add protein to every meal? And then you tick that off. See, that's powerful because now you're stacking and building something that you're not going to fall back off. And this is the magic question. We call this the magic question. Right? This goes for anything. Remember, if you do not believe that you will do the behavior, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So they've done a lot of studies on kids and adults and everything in between, that if you don't have a belief system like, I'm confident that I will do this, you will not do it. Okay, so we ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that you can do this 90% of the time, right? So if I went to Nick and I said, hey, listen, we decided on this habit, you're going to add protein to every meal. Nick, how confident do you feel, that you can do this 90% of the time? And if Nick said 8, 9, or 10, we keep the habit because he's confident that he can do it. Now, if Nick says 7, 6, or 5, he's not confident. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the habit easier until he says usually a 9 or a 10. And then we start tracking it. Make sense? right? Because if you're leaving here going, I'm super fucking pumped up, but I ask you that question about marketing or about whatever, and you're like, man, I'm a 4. I'm like, shit, we're in trouble, right? We're going to have to break that down. Okay, so this is the magic question for anything. Honestly, it's the magic question you can use for your kids in business. If somebody gives you a 5, 6, or 7, you got to make it simpler so that they feel confident that they can accomplish it. And remember to keep the goal, right? A lot of people start changing goals. Keep the goal. That's a quote from Dan John, who's one of my mentors. All right, where are we at? Minute 34. Shit. Okay. So I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna skip forward. Now look, guys, one of the things that I wanted to go over, which is the second part of this, is getting you guys to understand recovery a little bit more, okay? Which is, look, if you look at from the last 20 years, 32 million gym memberships to 57 million gym memberships. Gym memberships have gone up a ton, which is good news, but here's the bad news. Let's look at obesity, right? We're at 30%. It's almost doubled. Obesity rates are climbing from 19.4 to 30.4%. We're also not getting healthier because if we look at diabetes, stroke, and everything else, it's going up. Okay, so what's going on? So I'm going to skip from some of this. The problem a lot of times is, do you know that like Americans, if you look at this, are actually working out more than any other population on the planet? More than any other population on the planet. So is it really the problem that we're not active enough? And see, the thing is, I would say no. The problem is, now these charts kind of look crazy, but let me just get to the point that we have a finite amount of energy to use. There's a high limit to our metabolism. So, first of all, because I want everybody here to train and train hard and be smart with it, but if you take 10,000 steps a day, that's great. But if you take 20,000 steps a day, is that better? And the answer is no, and they've done studies on hunter-gatherer tribes in Africa that basically live like the tribes of 10,000 years ago did. And even though they move 2 to 3 times as much as we do and basically eat less, their metabolism is slower because you can only use so much energy. So to get to this point real quick, okay, if I gave you $500 and you had $500 to spend, okay, you cannot spend more than $500. That's exactly what the body does. This is one of the things that I want you to remember more than anything before we finish, and I give you just one recommendation on the fitness side of things, is look, the brain controls energy, okay? There's a finite amount of energy. So for instance, you can at the limit burn 7,000 or 8,000 calories per day, right? You could train all day long. You will not be able to expand more than that. And the number one thing that the energy goes to is your vital biological functions, your breathing, your heart rate, right? Blood pressure, the things that keep you alive. So that's first. That's where the energy goes first. Then second, it goes towards physical activity and stress. Now, we are more fucking stressed out than we've ever been. The more stressed out and we sleep less. Guess what happens when you don't sleep? You consume energy because you're in sympathetic nervous system. Right? When you're stressed out, what happens? You're consuming energy. And what happens when you're training? You're consuming energy. But where do you get results? Where do you build muscle? Where do you build mitochondria? Where do you burn fat? Recovery. Now, you see that last one right there? The blue arrow? Tissue recovery and adaptation. So when you've juiced up all the energy, your body does not have the energy to actually give you what you want, which is muscle, which is mitochondria, which is basically getting the results that you want. Think about that. So if you've been training your ass off, you're not getting results, you're always tired, you're always injured, that is why. So I would have you consider starting to do more recovery training. Now, because I know I've already went over, I'm going to skip to the back.
Final thought.
I'm going to give you a recommendation here, okay?
Side note, how many of you know Luca could go for like 5 days?
Oh man, this is the hardest shit in the world.
And the truth is he is, and he does, and he's fucking smart as shit. But right now we're going to get his final thought.
Final thought.
Final thought.
All right. Build a foundation of quality movement that will allow you to move better and also help you recover more. So if you're looking at stuff like this, these are just like mobility drills that I do every single day. So in the morning for your fitness, when it says, hey, did you sweat? I'd recommend that for 5, 10, 15 minutes, you're working on mobility, right? Making sure your joints move well. Some people will say, oh, this is stretching. But this is actually me moving my joints through 4 ranges of motion. Okay, and there's a lot of drills. I got tons of videos out there that show this stuff, right? It's actually pretty challenging. But if your joints don't move well and now you start loading it with weight, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get injured. You're going to bang yourself up. Once again, this is not a question, okay? It's like gravity. You can't cheat science, right? Now, this is a lot of work to get to be able to do stuff like this, right? But the thing is, if you cannot move in certain ways, I'm going to go to the next one. You can see this is like stuff I do every morning. I do it before warm-ups, just mobility drills. And if you did this for 5 to 10 minutes per day, basically your mobility improves, you start your day off right, and you have a ritual. And when you're training, your training is going to be better, but you're also helping yourself with your recovery. Okay? And with that said, look, we're all somewhere between death and optimal health. And we just want to move that dial a little bit further toward optimal health. So try implementing on the side of nutrition and side of fitness for that half a point some of the things that I talked about today that actually are going to help you move forward and not have you keep dropping off and like repeating that cycle. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
2 clap. Boom. 2 clap. Boom. 2 clap. Boom. Also, like, no bullshit, Luca is a reservoir of information. There's a reason why we send so many guys in for fitness and nutrition and for guidance and support inside of VigorFit. Can you see that? Like, smart as fuck, right? And literally could go forever. Like, I want to hear him go forever, but we got a lot of other shit to do. So here's what you got to do, though. He just shared a lot with you. There were at least 7 or 8 major nuggets of fucking massive change inside of your body game that he dropped inside of that time frame. How many of you got one thing, Luca, going, what the fuck, I should be doing that? Okay, good. You got 90 seconds to write that shit down, and we're going to keep moving forward. Off you go.
Check.
All right, find your way back to your seat. Hug your brother up, move back to your seat. All right, so sitting there, Luca is going to be asked the same question that we've asked the first 2 trainers today in the body, is to give us some examples of what some of his body challenges have been, some of the body challenges he's used inside a 12-week challenge. So, Luca, what do you got?
All right. So my approach since I've been in Warrior has been, I think, a little bit different. I looked at challenges as everything that I just talked about, stacking on each other. So I'm a little bit of a psycho when it comes to work. So I used to sleep very little, work a ton, train a ton. So the training side of things for me is not difficult. Like doing a crazy challenge with training. I grew up, I played pro basketball all through the levels, so I did all that stuff. So I started going into improving my sleep. So almost one whole year it took me to go from sleeping about 3.5 to 4 hours a night to sleeping 7 to 8.
What the fuck? You're sleeping 7 hours a night?
I sleep 8 hours a night, dude. Yeah. It's pretty nuts.
Krebs, you hear that shit?
Now, but here's the thing though, like, you would think, right? In that year, I fixed 2 different things. I got a fucking Vitamix and made a smoothie every morning, and I slept 8 hours a night. That shit changed my life. 2 habits changed my life, but especially the sleep one. Because I went through all the markers for my hormones, blood work, everything, right? I got leaner, training less, cognitive, function got better, like fucking more boners, you name it, right? All the good stuff, guys. So, but the point of it is, I started looking at it like, whatever I build in my 90 days, I don't want to lose it, all right? So I don't want to go and do a challenge in Himalayas paddleboarding down from the fucking mountain, and then the next month become the best badminton player in the world and not keep any of that shit, right? Whatever I'm going to build, I'm going to keep it forever. So I'm going to build mobility. You know what? I'm doing ninja kicks 5 years from now. You know what I mean? I'm going to sleep 8 hours. I'm going to do that from now on. I want to build that forever. I don't want to lose it. I just want to go in and out, right? So I'd have you think about that, consider that whatever you build in the 90 days, you build on top of that, and that's who you become. And it's not this like, the fucking habitual line stepper motherfucker, right? Like going in and out. And you'll get a lot more out of life, and you'll have a lot more out of your health. And so that's been my whole approach has been these things that seemingly don't seem like much, but they've literally changed my life on a daily basis forever after I get it done, and it becomes part of what I do on a daily basis, rather than jumping in and out.
2 clap. Boom. Beautiful, Luca. Thanks so much. Thank you.